שיר המעלות ושוב אדוני את שיבת ציון היינו כחולמים שבת שלום שבת Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Join with us, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom Umevorach. Page 10, Hine Matov. Hallelujah, 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 amen. Hallelujah, 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 amen. Hallelujah, 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 amen. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hallelujah, amen. Hine hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hallelujah, 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 amen. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom, Cantor Lappin.
Welcome to Anshe Chesed Fairmount Temple. We're so glad that you're here with us, assuring Shabbat with us as one community. My name is Cantor Vladimir Lappin. I'm happy to be sharing in tonight's services with Rabbi Josh Caruso. We are so glad that you're here with us. I'll say it again and again. Let us all take a deep breath for Shabbat. In preparing for tonight's Shabbat service, I found a story that I wanted to share with you all. And I'll be honest, Todd, we're going to honor you in a few moments, but it made me think of you. And I'll tell you why in a moment. Many years ago, in a desert in the Middle East, a man and his daughter were leading their camel as they traveled to see their family in a village, which was a few days' walking distance. As they walked, they came across another traveler going in the other direction. Upon seeing the man and his daughter, the other traveler expressed surprise. "You've got this big, strong animal. Why are you both walking? You're going to run out of water." The father and his daughter agreed with the fellow traveler. "You make a good point," he replied. And the dad got on top of the camel. After a few miles, they came across another traveler who couldn't believe that the father was riding the camel while the daughter was walking. Their daughter acknowledged that she could use a break, so they switched places. A few more miles later, through the desert, they met another traveler. He scolded the daughter for making her poor old father walk while she rides. After he departed, they looked at each other and they shrugged their shoulders. There's plenty of room for both of them to ride, so they both climbed on top of this camel. They continue to travel. They meet another traveler. He scolds the daughter for making her poor old father, this is the fourth stranger. They meet their fourth stranger, and believe it or not, he also has an issue. The stranger, the other traveler, berates them for putting such a heavy burden on this poor animal. "Camels aren't machines," she exclaims. Walking away, she shakes her head. At that point, the daughter turns to her father and says, "Well, Dad, it looks like we're going to have to carry the camel." But then she says, "But I'm not sure that the next person we meet probably won't be satisfied with that either." Rabbi Scott Sperling teaches that we all have burdens that we must bear. Some are physical, some are emotional, some are spiritual. Among the heaviest burdens can be other people's judgments and expectations, or even our own. Setting those aside can relieve us from all the shoulds so that we can take more responsibility for our actions. It reminds us to get out of our head and leave behind some of the self-doubt so we can live in the moment. Easing the burden of expectations makes things simpler and helps us avoid constantly responding to what others think. Shabbat offers us an opportunity to take advantage of the time to reflect on who we are, our values, our community, our lives. Shabbat reminds us that we don't have to end up carrying the camel. We can cross the desert without heaviness of the burdens that others put upon us. Tonight, of course, later in the service, we will have a wonderful opportunity to say thank you to Todd Silverman, our congregation's president, who has carried so many of our burdens over his 3-year tenure. Carried them on your shoulders, Todd. Todd, we are grateful to you for carrying us, for being our cheerleader, our partner, and for being a beacon of hope and strength during a very tumultuous time. Thank you. And so in your honor, I would like to invite your mom, Nancy Silverman, along with George Cohn, and your wonderful children, Zach and Lane, to help us light our Shabbat candles and take away the burden of this past week. We're going to light the candles on page 2. Let us light these lights and see the way to you, and let us say Amen. Let us light these lights and see the way to you, and let us say Amen. Amen.
Amen. Well done. Thank you so much. fantastic. We continue now. Lechune Ranena. It is can be found. Can it be found? Yes. Can be found in your handouts. And we join together with this psalm that leads us into Shabbat.
Let us sing unto God a new song. Let us sing unto God a new song. Yai la la, 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 לצור אישנו, מקדמה פניו בתודה, בזמירות נריע לו, בזמירות נריע לו. יאי לה לה, 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 Let us sing unto God a new song. Let us sing unto God a new song. Please join with us on Yai Lai Lai, 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 Lai 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 Lai, Yai Lai Lai, Lai Lai Lai, Lai Lai Lai, Yai Lai Lai. Let us sing unto God a new song. Let us sing unto God a new song.
Whew. Feeling really. We're proactively singing this song to God. We are beckoning. We are active in our connection to Shabbat tonight. And in just a little bit, we're going to get to the last stanza of Lecha Dodi. And when we do, at that time, we'll invite you to rise and welcome the Sabbath bride. I love the words of this stanza because it says, Bo'ich v'shalom, Bo'ich kala, come. There's nothing passive about Shabbat. Right? That doesn't have to be passive. This is an active moment of welcoming the Sabbath bride. Come, we're here for you. We're ready to receive you. We continue now with Lecha Dodi, page 20.
Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmi'anu el hamiyuchad. Adonai echad u'shmo echad, L'shem ultiferet v'lithilah, Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, Ki hi mekor ha-beracha. מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Verse 5. התעוררי כי ברך קומי אורי שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
Brides face the entrance. Welcome the Sabbath bride, last stanza.
בואי ושלום עטרת בנה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
That was fun. That was. We turn to page 28 for our call to worship. If you are still standing, please remain standing as you are able. 28.
Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Baruchu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach. לעולם, לעולם ועד. המבורך, לעולם ועד. יאי לי, יאי לי לי, יאי לי 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 לי, יאי לי 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 לי, יאי
Continue on the top of page 33. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me, did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Continue as Shema Yisrael, page 34.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
You may be seated. Continue on page 36, V'ahavta.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בעם בשבתך, בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות להם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Adonai Elohechem Emet. Continue on the top of page 39. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there, except by joining hands, marching together. Continue with Micha Mocha, page 40. Page 43. Give us a place to rest, Adonai our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. Continue now with Vishamru, page 44.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת.
Page 47. Prayer invites God's presence to suffuse our spirits, God's will to prevail in our lives. Prayer may not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city. But prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, rebuild a weakened will. We continue now with our tefillah, starting on page 46 and moving through page 52. Please rise as you are able.
Yai lai 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 lai, 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 Adonai. שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך Adonai. Open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai. ברוך אתה, אדוני אלוהינו, ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל, ואלוהי לאה, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה, אדוני, מגן אברהם, ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם, אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיי, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה, אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יעללו חסלה. ברוך אתה, אדוני, האל הקדוש.
We take a few moments now of silent prayer. You may be seated.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, ישום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה יעשה שלום עלינו, עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
Beautiful. We hope everybody here in the sanctuary is enjoying our worship tonight. We also want to make sure we acknowledge all those who are joining us on Streamcast today, those of us who are watching on Zoom, wherever you are, wherever you're praying. We're so glad that you are with us. You're part of our minyan tonight. Friends, I'm not a horse racing fan. How about starting out my remarks like that? I'm not a horse racing fan, but every year I do try to tune in to the Kentucky Derby in what is affectionately called the Run for the Roses. With my proverbial mint julep in hand, I watched the race. Now, usually I don't really have a rooting interest. I'm not really a gambling man. And the names of the horses every year are not very familiar to me at all. But I did notice when I was watching that the announcer was acknowledging only a couple of the horses up in front of the pack. There were a whole bunch of horses trailing. So at the start of the race, there was one horse, its name was Rich Strike, who was at the tail end of the group. The announcer made reference to Rich Strike early on only as one of the stragglers, like almost as if the announcer had to go through the paces of making sure that he named every horse. But the announcer didn't seem to notice that Rich Strike, the initial straggler, was slowly and methodically weaving his way through equine traffic to get closer and closer to the front. Soon enough, the final stretch of the Derby, Rich Strike was pulling away from all the horses that were initially ahead of him. Incredibly, Rich Strike took the lead. It wasn't until he had practically crossed the finish line that the announcer had acknowledged this horse, the improbable winner of the race, Rich Strike. If you ever get the chance to find the video of the race online, it will be well worth your 3 minutes. This unlikely win was arguably the greatest upset in Kentucky Derby history, just this year. The odds were 80-1. These kinds of events, these upsets, never fail to surprise, because we generally like to go with expectation. We rarely bet against the odds. Frankly, it has caused me to wonder what is lost. What is lost by always betting on a probable result? What do we miss if we only focus on likely results instead of possible ones? Think of it. Everything that we've lost because we didn't imagine that there was possibility, even with the odds against. Rebecca Solnit writes, mostly likely things happen, but mostly is not always. And in retrospect, what seemed impossible or unlikely seems inevitable. And so we normalize the sheer erratic unpredictability that will surge against the odds again and again. Solnit calls rich strike a black swan, a term for something rare but consequential that may look obvious in retrospect, but comes as a surprise at the time it happens. Right? We look back and we say, oh yeah, we connect the dots. That it should have, of course, it happened that way, but we didn't think that way at the beginning. There are many instances of black swans, not just in sports, but in politics, art, global circumstance. Frankly, admittedly, sometimes it's for better, and sometimes black swans arise for the worse. They're everywhere. Sometimes we call them sleepers or dark horses. Whatever they are called, black swans are part of our everyday lives. In my experience, I believe we each have a black swan within us. It's often the part of us we have yet to see, but there is some sort of spark inside that awaits ignition. Like the time a bat mitzvah sat on this very bima, got nauseous due to nerves, sat down on these seats right under me with a Diet Coke, halted the service altogether. It's as if the whole community started to pray for her. After a few moments of drinking the Diet Coke and gathering herself, she put the can down, approached the lectern, and proudly proclaimed to the 200 people in the sanctuary, "Let's do this." When I was 20 years old, I had the itch to go to Israel. I felt Jewish, but could not really explain what that meant to me. I spent 4 months living on a kibbutz, studying Hebrew, learning about Judaism. And to be honest, I wasn't very knowledgeable about what it meant to be Jewish at all. Perhaps I was that person who no one would imagine would be here today. I specifically remember one day of instruction in Israel, and a number of the students were talking about a Bible story in which, maybe you've heard this one? A father travels up a mountain with his son and moved to sacrifice his son in adherence for his love to God. Friends, I was shocked about the content of this story. And I was embarrassed because I did not remember ever hearing about it in my youth. 20 years old, surrounded by Jews from around the world, and feeling like I had missed something terribly important. It was definitely a moment that marked more than just a missing Torah story. It marked the awakening in me that there was so much more to learn. Of course, the story of Abraham and Isaac was from the book of Genesis. And I remember thinking that day how woefully prepared I was as a Jew. But it did light something up in me. Leading up to that point, I would have been a long shot. A long shot to not only go to rabbinical school, but to even be an active Jew. Odds would have been 80-1, at least. The 20-year-old Josh Caruso thought he understood the nature of his life and where it was headed, but in actuality, he had no clue. A moment that felt so terrible was the springboard to a whole new way of understanding how my life could change. Like that bat mitzvah kid sitting down, embarrassed with a Diet Coke, not knowing if she could ever go on. Something sprung up in her. Something got ignited, and she said, "Let's do this." That day, when I felt so embarrassed, when I felt like I didn't know Judaism 101, I grew closer to Judaism. That very day, I grew closer. And I felt its absence in me. And that's why I felt closer to it. Sometimes we need to start at the very back of the pack before we can animate something deep within. I wonder if you can identify a moment when you thought you were woefully prepared for a moment, for a change, and then something triggered you, something ignited you, something surprised you. You thought that we were the dark horse. You thought you were the sleeper, but actually you were running with the pack. Maybe you were even taking the lead. In respect to the famous passage when the Israelites are standing at Sinai, the great Rebbe Menachem Mendel of Kotsk recalled the Na'aseh v'nishma moment, the we will do and we will hear moment. It's what our confirmands say every Shavuot. Reacting to why it says we will do first before we will hear, the Kotsky Rebbe says that some actions cannot be understood or heard until they are performed or done. This, to me, is the secret of the black swan. We must hurl ourselves into the moments that may scare us most to learn something new. I'd like to think that we each have that little black swan in us, that piece within that believes we are destined to animate a new part of ourselves, even if the odds appear unlikely to those who know us, or even to ourselves. Did you have that moment? That moment ever happened for you? Where you never thought you'd be here when you were there? Those are some moments that whatever age you reach, they never stop happening. You might surprise many as you are coming around the bend and headed for the finish line, thinking, I'm no longer a dark horse, but rather I'm a black swan. All right. Amen. I want to take this time now and think about those in our community who are in need of healing, healing of the body and healing of the spirit. We want to acknowledge those in our community, some of whose names are here now. If you're thinking of someone, we'll ask you to share those names if you wish. If you're on Zoom, you can put those names even in the comments. We think about Dan Allen and Ro Allen, Claire Mengele Linder, Kristen Barnes, Maddie Bukatz, Rosalind Brooker, Ellen Brooks, Joe Callahan, Amy Cohen, Josh Danielpour, Linda Felder, George Fendel, Eric Fisher, Nina Fisher, Mary Freeman, Kara Greenwald, David Goldfein, Rafi Hami, Stephen Heller, Lev Heschel Ben Batami Yaakov, Robert Jackson, Rebecca Jacobson, Monica Jones, Ethan Kadish, Sheldon Caffin, Linda Kahn, Patricia Kipstool, Ivan Kramer, Marla Lakin, Charlie Lewis, Suzanne Luria, Dennis Malkin, Margaret Marshall, Jane Mayers, Michael McGarrity, Jennifer Russell McGee, Scott Miller, Barbara Misney, Mia Newman, our Rabbi Robert A. Nosenchuk, Betty Penzner, Carol Plank, Paula Platt, Jewel Price, Gail Ray, Bernice Reef, Cooper Saul Roberts, Joe Rocchio, Frank Rubin, Gordon Safran, David Schlein, Stephen Schlein, Bob Schwartz, Sharon Schwartz, Greg Selker, Mona Senkfor, Steve Shacknow, Dr. James Silverblatt, Pat Singer, Linda Snyderman, Estelle Slutsky, Alexia Stern, Michaela Stern, Liviana Bree-Solzer, Harold Tickton, Daryl Tyndall, Brenda Tinker, Misha Zeitlin, Marilyn Violas, Angel Wisner, Terry Williams, Richard Wilson, Isabel Wolf, Eliza Bat Yitzchak Chaim HaKohen V'Zelda Jenny, Kayla Bat Pesach V'Miriam, Mordechai Ben Henia, David Ben Esther V'Shlomo, Sarah Esther Bat Avraham V'Sara. At this time, we invite you to share a name if you wish, as my hand moves to the congregation. We also think about those who are suffering from addiction, anxiety, depression, those maladies that are felt but not always appear to the human eye. We hold you all close, and if you're here tonight and you yourself are in need of healing, we want to share that embrace with you as well as we continue with Tefillat Mishaberach, page 253.
Mishaberach Avoteinu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishaberach imotenu mekor habracha le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
From prayers of healing to blessings of joy, we'd like to take this moment and recognize those in our community who are celebrating milestone birthdays and anniversaries. We've got a few here today. We're so excited. Some of you are here in person, and some of you are joining us by Streamcast. Either way, we want to express our joy and love for you. Milestone birthdays for Rita Blaugrund and Marcia Spitz. Wonderful. You can stand at your seats if you wish, for sure. Absolutely. And we want to also recognize our anniversary blessings. Myrna and Warren Gill. If you want to stand up, you can. You can. How many years, Myrna and Warren? 59. Margie and Lee. How many years? 50. Eleanor and Ron Newman. How many years? 56. Sally and Stanley Wertheim, I know you're watching, because every week you're here. We wish you mazel tov for sure. We want to also take this time and recognize we have a bar mitzvah tomorrow, William Matthews, and we wish him mazel tov, and his parents, Jamie and Doug Matthews. And anybody else celebrating a milestone? We want to acknowledge you if you're here. Fantastic. Let us do a blessing.
Please join with us. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'echianu v'kiyemanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
Amen.
Amen.
So you may be seated. Thank you so much. Todd, don't go too far. So I wanted to share that, last week, as many of you know, I was at Goldman Union Camp Institute. I was enjoying my time there. Every morning, I was embedded with a unit, wonderful unit of grade school kids. And every morning, I would teach shiur. It was like a lesson. It was a nice lesson. I felt very proud of myself every time. I would teach something about Judaism, great topics, really interesting. I felt like I was really hitting the mark. But there was one problem. None of the kids, including some of them who were like Fairmount Temple community, ever came out up to me afterwards saying, "Rabbi, that was a great lesson. Thank you so much. I want to be a rabbi because of you." No. So there was very little about that. And so I went on my way, and I went through the week, about 4 or 5 days, very little from, our congregant kids. We definitely did high fives, and we got to know each other, but they were with their friends. One, I think it was the Wednesday, I went down to the sports field, started, shooting baskets, and I made 5, baskets in a row, nothing but net. At that point, one of the kids says, "That's my rabbi." I'm walking off the field, "Rabbi, high five. You did great." So I thought, okay, maybe, I taught okay, but I really got my grounding and my credibility, street cred, was on the basketball court. I tell the story for a reason. Todd, you do everything for our temple, and you've done for the past 3 years. So much that has been scripted, so much that has been part of the plan, part of the job description that you came in knowing you would do. Some of it was not in the job description, like a worldwide pandemic. But you had your notebooks, and you had your plan, and you kept on with every expectation. But the part that's really never issued as an expectation is that to get to know our congregation, and to do that in a very informal way. And you really have. And that's been a beautiful part of your tenure here, is just knowing who we are, our rank and file, how we breathe, how we live, how we do Jewish. And your credibility has come so much from the respect that this congregation has for you, because they know you are the real deal. You are who you say you are who you project you are, what you see is what you get. And our congregation has been felt so held by you, so honored by you, because you represent them and us. And that's where the true street cred comes in. We're so grateful for your leadership. I know we invited you to share a few words before we offer a blessing at the Ark.
Thanks. Hello, Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for those kind words. It means so much to me. This is my temple, and it will always be my temple. My wife is en route to Israel, so she's unfortunately not here, but I want to thank her for her love and support. So time is relative. 3 years as president can seem like a long time, especially during COVID. But 3 years in our temple's 180-year existence doesn't seem so long, does it? I see myself as a link in a very strong chain, one that Michelle Krantz and her team will keep strong. It was truly a delight to work with this talented clergy, the staff, the board of directors, and what got accomplished was done so together by a team. And I've always said the most important thing about leading is that you have to care, and I'll tell you that everyone on this team here cares deep down in their core. The last 3 years were challenging, but they were so fulfilling and so rewarding. I really can't thank you enough for trusting me with the opportunity to be the president of Anshe Hesed. You are the people of love and kindness. The best gift I got during my term was the gift of your friendship and your support. This community came together in ways that nobody could have predicted. I developed relationships that I know I might otherwise not have formed. We were engaged. I was reminded at Cantor Sager's event, and again this past Sunday at the block party when I saw so many of you, just how lucky I am to belong to a community such as ours. It's rare and it should be celebrated, and I'll never take it for granted. This congregation has continued to support me, teach me, inspire me, nurture me, and fill my soul. I grew so much over the last 3 years, and I have so much more to learn. But the great thing is that my spiritual journey here will continue. Truth be told, I would do it all over again, minus the pandemic. So if you're thinking about getting involved or engaged at Temple in any way at all, I would strongly encourage it. The people and the experience will enrich your life and have a profound effect on you forever, as it has for me. So in closing, I just want to say I'm grateful to have been able to serve, and it's humbling to know that I made an impact. I just thank you all for keeping the eternal flame ablaze, and thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
We invite everyone to rise at your seats as you are able as we open up the ark. We're not done with the... Should I put this out? Only after each person, we're going to say, go ahead.
Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
Todd, you sustain and nourish us with the sacred wisdom and traditions of our people, teaching us your unique Torah, and may God bless you and keep you.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yihuneka.
You work alongside us to bring the light of justice and compassion to God's broken world. May God's face shine upon you. May God always be gracious to you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
Todd, you have borne witness to our lives and accompanied us on our journey. You continue to do so. You help us elevate our consciousness and search in every hour for God's presence in our lives. For your dedication to our community, may God lift your heart and grant you wholeness, fulfillment, and peace.
Amen. Amen.
We're turning to bottom of page 282, Aleinu L'Shabeach.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש, ברוך הוא ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
You may be seated. Continue on page 291 with a reading prior to the Kaddish. יש כוכבים שאורם מגיע ארצה, רק אשר הם עצמם עבדו ואינם. There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light, long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us as we live our days. These are the ways we remember. We continue now. We remember those who have died in the last 30 days in the period of Shiva and Shloshim. We remember Rita Heller, Mark Kester, Stanley Wernick, Byron Krantz, Marvin Rapport. And we remember those who died at this season in years past. In the period of Yahrzeit, we remember Harry M. Adler, Earl R. Agan, Elliot Mark Bilski, Alyssa Michaels Brickner, Daniel J. Court, Larry Davis, Mary Davis, Sophie Dem, Isaac Deutschman, Elva Diamond, Florence L. Dobrin, Sam Drazen, Tahir Dernev, James Elsoffer, Samuel Furtman, Celeste Flaxman, Della S. Frankel, Dorothy Frankel, Fanny F. Freiberger, Lucille Moots Friedman, Kenneth J. Gertie, Patty Copeland Klickman, Bertha C. Goldheimer, Lucille F. Goldsmith, Gerald N. Goodman.
Ernestine Greenberger, Bertram J. Harriman, Max Halfon, Vera Zaretsky Harris, Robert J. Jacobson, Irvin Kamen, Florence Katz, Dr. Sidney King, Jerome I. Kleinerman, MD, Leonard Cronenberg, Marilyn Lawson, Fanny J. Lederer, Ruth B. Lederman, Sarah Bluma Levine, M. Jonathan Lewis, Essie Loeb, Golda Loveman, Alex Mandula, Joseph D. Marks, Sidney H. Moss, Harriet Oken, Arthur E. Orlean, Joseph H. Persky.
Michael S. Petty, Edwin P. Rapport, Norman Roman, Harry S. Rosewater, Irving S. Nigrose, Lillian N. Rosner, Leo E. Rossman, Fanny Katz-Rusick, James A. Samuels. Sarah Schlackett, Fanny Schmeyer, Harry Schmeyer, Mara Schneider, Simon M. Schultz, Lillian Shane.
Herman Schein, Robert B. Sill, Max Smith, Frida Solomon, Edna Vision Stein, Emmanuel K. Strauss, Burton Tepper, Danielle Vision, Mark Wallach, Lillian Weinberg, Alice Weinstein, Lori Weinstein, Jacob Wiener, Adolf Short Wolf.
Lori Weinstein.
Lori Weinstein.
To this list, we add the names of the 6 million who perished in the Shoah, those who died in the Holocaust, and we say Kaddish for all those who have no one to say Kaddish for them. If you are here as a mourner, mourning someone who died in the past 7 days, the past 30 days, period of Yartzeit, or in this past year of mourning, we invite you to rise at your seat so we can know you in your grief. And if it is your tradition, we invite you to join our mourners as we continue with the recitation of the Kaddish Praise, page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'galau v'zman kari v'imru.
Amen.
Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam alomeo maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shemei dekudisha.
Brichu.
Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Yehei shalama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru.
Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru.
Amen.
May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn, comfort to all who are bereaved among us, and we say together, Amen. You may be seated. As we turn to the conclusion of our service, we are so grateful you could join us tonight. We want to give big thanks to our ushers and to our greeters tonight. We appreciate you so much. I know I saw Brian Kastner, and I think I saw, I did see someone else.
Ellen and Alan Klein.
Sorry?
Ellen and Alan.
Ellen and Alan are our greeters, and then Brian was working with? Yes, thank you. We want to also recognize as we're transitioning, and we have already transitioned from our immediate past president, Todd Silverman, to our new president, Michelle Krantz. We're grateful to have you in the congregation. We know that while Todd set an incredible example, you do too, and we are grateful to have you here leading our temple community. Thank you so much, Michelle. She is back there, just holding up her hands, just so you know, in case you're here and you're visiting for the first time or you want to just be greeted, she's awesome. We also want to acknowledge that very soon, Juliana Johnston Centurio will be our executive director, August 15th. She's here tonight with her husband, Harris. We just wanted to greet you, and we're so excited for your this new return to our staff, but in a completely new role. We're very excited about it, Juliana. The whole staff can't wait to have you on board. So, wonderful.
I want to throw out one more thank you. Thank you to our guest musicians, to Joe Tomino and
Yes.
to Joey Scotch on piano and percussion. Thank you for being here.
Amazing, and thank you for all you did for our at our block party as well. It was really wonderful. Want to take just a moment and acknowledge, if you haven't read it or heard the rumor, there is going to be a new Machzor, a new High Holy Day prayer book that we're starting to use here at our temple this coming holiday season. So if you have not picked up your High Holy Day prayer books, you can actually stop tonight in front of the auditorium on your way out to pick up your Machzor. There is one Machzor per household that is gifted to you. It comes from a number of prayer book funds at our temple. Additional sets are available for purchase through Fairmount Temple. So if you'd like to do that, please let us know. But Barbara Smith should be here. And you can also come during the week and pick up your prayer books. We also want to recognize that our Jewish Community Federation of Cleveland is launching their campaign this year on Sunday, August 28th. It is affectionately dubbed the Super Sunday Kickoff. And as always, we're grateful for all the Federation does for the Jewish community, serving the needs locally, nationally, and also worldwide. If you'd like to join and be part of Super Sunday, be part of the campaign, you can register at jewishcleveland.org. I plan to be there myself and looking forward to sharing my thanks to the Federation and helping to support its incredible mission. Tomorrow morning, we have Torah study as usual at 9:15, but Cantor Laureate Sarah Sager will be teaching tomorrow morning, which is always a treat as it is studying with Rabbi Mulbaum. So we've got a plethora of Torah scholars who lead us. So if you're interested in joining, please contact Stacy Cohen at scohen@fairmounttemple.org, or just let me know after services if you're not signed up, and we'll get you the Zoom link, no problem. Fantastic. Cantor, you were amazing tonight. You always are. But I mean,
So are you.
The music was so uplifting and amazing, and thank you for just bringing us such joy and meaning and feeling to our prayer experience. We're grateful to you. And Kiddush Motzi?
Kiddush
We have a
Motzi.
special challah.
It smells so good. I'm ready to jump in, but we can't because we have to do our Kiddush first. So please join with me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Say l'chaim. All right, special
It'll take me a moment to
challah
uncover
baked
this.
by, is it Lane or Stephanie? By Stephanie in absentia. We love you, Stephanie. And we feel the love in the challah. And thank you, Lane. And it was hot when it first arrived, so hopefully we'll take advantage of it.
Please join with me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
B'tei Avon, we'll
Smells
bring
so
this
good.
to you in just a minute.
I'm not giving this to anybody.
Yeah, maybe we'll take a little piece beforehand. We want to conclude with Tfilat Haderech, the special piece that was written specifically for Cantor Laureate Sager and was debuted at our at the tribute tonight, and we'll sing it together, join together.
Please join with us. The words are in your program.
In your program, please rise as you are able.
Holy One of blessing, wrap us in perfect peace. Guide our steps steadily forward as we go on our way. Bless us with compassion as we walk new paths ahead. Bless us with strength for the journey, and we say amen. Amen, amen, amen. Amen, vimru, amen. Amen, amen, amen. Amen, vimru, amen. May we be protected. May we feel held and free. May we have patience and wisdom as we go on our way. Bless us with the knowing that we are never alone. Bless us with love for the journey, and we say amen.
Please join us.
Amen, amen, amen. Amen, vimru, amen. Amen, amen, amen. Amen, vimru, amen.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.